don't know. But...
Hi there, and welcome to this Co-ops Fortnight broadcast. My name is Shane Brogan. I'm the membership officer of the Co-operative Party. I'm joined here as well with the party's General Secretary, Claire McCarthy too. Claire, if you want to maybe introduce a bit about what we're going to do this evening.
Hi there, thanks very much for joining us. So we thought that the idea of this, and we did, one of our colleagues did a similar broadcast earlier on in the week. The idea was just that we would give you an opportunity to find out a little bit more about the Co-operative Party, ask us any questions about what we do and how we do it, and to just give you the opportunity, basically. And it's Co-operatives Fortnight, so we thought that was a really good time. So we have had some questions, I think, Shane.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, you feel free to type them on the screen, and we'll pick them up and call them out. It means that also everyone else who's taking part in the broadcast can take a look at them as well. To get things going, though, some of you did send some in advance, so we'll maybe get a start with those while maybe you think about what you want to ask. The first one, and these two are kind of quite related, and the ones we get asked quite a lot as well, so it's probably a good place to start. I suppose the first one, Claire, if you can maybe explain, people know the co-op shops that you see on the high street.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the co-op shop and the co-op party, and what's the relationship between them?
Yeah, this is a question we get asked all the time by people. So basically, the Co-operative Party is the political party of the cooperative movement. We were created in 1917, so it's our centenary next year. We'll be 100 years old. And the cooperative movement, which includes today includes the large cooperative retailers that you will know from your high streets, that run the co-op shops and co-op funeral homes and travel and the like, and they are part of that cooperative movement. And some of those cooperative retailers are also members of the Cooperative Party, and they helped create the party 100 years ago, as I said, but they're still members today, and we work with them closely to promote cooperative ideas and just explain to people that actually cooperatives are a better way of doing business. whether that is in retail or whether that is in, for example, in energy or in credit unions, as an example of a different way of providing financial services. So yeah, that's the difference. So we're the political arm of this social and business movement, the cooperative movement.
That's great. And I suppose the second question then that always, once people get their head around that, the second question that people tend to ask is, what is the relationship between the Co-operative Party and the Labour Party? And people see Labour and cooperative, so maybe you want to explain to people what all those things mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of people get confused, and I think it's partly because it's often inaccurately described in the media reports that the Co-operative Party is, either part of the Labour Party or that it is an affiliate of the Labour Party, like the trade unions are, for example. That's not the case. At a national level, the Co-operative Party is an independent political party, so in just the same way that all political parties are. We have our own National Executive Committee, our own party conference, our own membership systems and our own policies and our own work that we're doing, our own campaigns. But where we're distinctive is that we have an electoral agreement with the Labour Party that we've had since 1927, and that sees us standing candidates jointly together at elections. And so that's why we've got our 25 Labour and cooperative MPs. That's why we've got hundreds of Labour and cooperative councillors around the country. And you don't have to be a member of the Labour Party to be a member of the Cooperative Party. You can just be a member of the Cooperative Party, and we're very happy to have lots of people involved in the cooperative movement and supportive of cooperative ideas who are our members, but aren't necessarily members of the Labour Party as well. And so that's the relationship that we have there.
Great. I suppose we pick up then the first question that's been submitted there on screen, which is from John, which is probably quite a topical one, which is what is the Co-op Party's response really, given what's been going on in the Labour Party the last few days?
Yes, everybody will be aware, if you've seen the newspapers and been watching the news, that there are some active discussions going on in the Labour Party at the moment about its leadership. Now, and this follows on from what I was just saying about the Cooperative Party's relationship with the Labour Party. Because we're not a part of the Labour Party, we're not a national affiliate of the Labour Party, we're an independent political party in our own right. The Cooperative Party has always taken the view that it's not for us to tell the Labour Party or to take a view about who the Labour leader should be, and all of those internal discussions are a matter for the Labour Party, not for the Cooperative Party. And so I mentioned before that the Co-op Party's had a relationship with the Labour Party since 1927. So we've worked with the Labour Party under every Labour leader, from Attlee to Harold Wilson, Jim Callaghan, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, right up to Ed Miliband and now Jeremy Corbyn. And that's the way that relationship works. So it's really for the Labour Party to decide who its leader is and how its leader should be, and then the Co-op Party works in a cooperative and collaborative way with whichever Labour leadership the party chooses.
Great. I suppose we maybe pick up a couple of the other questions then that people have put in. I think particularly from some people interested in joining the party, and one of them is in terms of how they can influence cooperative party policy, whether by themselves or perhaps through their local parties.
Yeah. As I said, the Cooperative Party has its own policy agenda and its own policy ideas, which it won't surprise you to know are all focused on how do we support and promote the cooperative ideas and cooperative solutions. And that's the focus of what we do. That's why we're created by the cooperative movement to champion cooperative models and cooperative ideas. So we have our own policy process, which is separate to the Labour policy process. We have our own policy discussions. Our local parties organise and participate in local policy discussions, and then they submit their thoughts and ideas to our national policy process. And that's something that they're doing at the moment. Our policy process is open, and actually for anybody watching, any individuals or any organisations, you don't have to just take part in a local policy forum meeting. If you've got ideas, you can feed those into us as individuals as well. And there's details about that policy process on our website. And then what happens after this part of the process finishes at the end of July is that our policy officer, James Scott, who did a broadcast like this on Monday night, he will look through all the submissions and think about what's happening and what everybody's saying, and just consider all the different options. And then what he'll do is he'll draft some new policy positions based on all that input and feedback that we've had from yourselves and our local parties and others. And then those policy documents will go to our party conference, which takes place in the second weekend of September in Cardiff this year. And there we will have policy discussions on our 3 policy documents, and then that will become official Co-operative Party policy. So it's, you know, it's really easy for members to get involved, either by going to a local policy discussion meeting or by looking at the stuff on our website and contributing as individuals. And we're really, really keen and happy to have any submissions of ideas and thoughts that you have. And then what happens is we do this process for over a period of 2 or 3 years, and then we'll develop those ideas into a manifesto and a sort of policy vision of how to create a more cooperative Britain ahead of the next general election. We also develop policy, incidentally, for other kinds of elections. So Scottish Co-operative Party and Welsh Co-operative Parties produced manifestos before the elections to the Scottish Parliament and Welsh Assembly this year. We also have lots of policy ideas that are relevant to local government, and you can see some of that on our website. We've got a particular part of our website which is the local government hub, and there's lots of information for local councillors and relevant to local government, including some policy ideas. And we're also in the process of developing policy ideas that are relevant to the new city region areas, because obviously people will know that government has done deals with some groups of local authorities to devolve power and responsibility for some issues from Whitehall down to new city regions, and in some cases they will be led by directly elected mayors, and the elections for those directly elected mayors will take place in May. So we're hoping that we will have some Labour and cooperative candidates standing in those elections, and we're obviously looking for them to advance the cooperative agenda in that way, because we think that there's plenty of opportunity for directly elected mayors and city regions and city and council regions to use their powers to advance the cooperative agenda in a number of ways. So, so those are just a flavour of some of the different kinds of cooperative policy making that we do. But as I say, look on our website if you're interested in getting involved in our national policy process in the next few weeks.
Yeah. Just to see that some people have kind of joined us since we started. Just to say, my name is Shane, and I'm the membership officer here with the Co-operative Party in London, and this is Claire McCarthy, who is the party's General Secretary. If you do wish to ask a question, if you're watching this just on the main page of our website, if you see there's a green button above the screen where you'll be watching us. If you click on that, that takes you through to where you can ask us some questions. We still have some others that have been submitted by email, so we'll work our way through those. But feel free to contribute anything that you want to have answered, or if there's anything that we've said so far that you'd like us to pick up a bit and dig into a bit further. I suppose given the last thing you mentioned there was kind of around local government and stuff like that. So again, one of the questions that come through is how many co-op councillors are there, and how would you go about becoming one?
Yeah, so we've got hundreds of cooperative Labour and cooperative councillors across the country, from Dundee in Scotland right to Plymouth in the southwest of the country, Brighton and other places. And there are more than 500 of those cooperative councillors out there around and about. Not always in what are called cooperative councils, because some local authorities have taken the decision to describe themselves as cooperative councils. Some of those are led by Labour and cooperative councillors themselves, like Newcastle under the leadership of Councillor Nick Forbes, I'm thinking of Sharon Taylor. Help me out. I'm thinking of Sharon Taylor in Stevenage. That's it. I forgot the name of Stevenage. I was thinking of Hertfordshire. In Stevenage, Sharon Taylor, the Labour and cooperative councillor, leading a cooperative council there. But we have cooperative councillors in other councils as well, including some, who will be in opposition in councils run by other parties, other political parties. So we have these councillors, and how do you become a cooperative councillor? Well, you have to indicate to your local cooperative party that you're interested in standing, and then if you're selected to be a Labour candidate in the elections, then the cooperative party may be willing to support you in those elections if you've demonstrated a commitment to cooperative values. And so we've got a new document actually which explains some of that process and would help you to understand what might be involved in being a councillor and being a cooperative councillor. and that's on our website. So look in the publications section of our website, which is www.party.coop, and there you can find it's the lime green publication, just hot off the press, just to help you understand what that's all about and what that and how to do that. We've also quite recently appointed a local government officer here at the Co-operative Party, who's called Emma, and it's Emma's job to work with our cooperative councillors around the country to help them with their work, to share good practice around the country, and also to develop some of the new thinking about how cooperative councils can have the biggest impact working at a local level. So if you are a cooperative councillor and you want to know more about and get more, work with the party on advancing the cooperative agenda in your local area, then do feel free to get in touch with Emma and maybe join the Cooperative Councillors Facebook group, which has been launched this week in Co-ops Fortnight as well.
Good. Just to see a few more people have just joined. It's just a reminder, if you are watching this through party.coop and you're just on the main events page of the website, you'll see there's a green button at the top of the screen. So if you'd like to ask us a question, just click on that and that'll take you through to the Google Hangouts page, which we can put that in. We've had just another one come in from by email, which was so going back to the theme of this week, which is Co-ops Fortnight.
Yeah.
I suppose whether the question is really around kind of the role of co-ops play kind of within the UK economy, and what is done during Co-ops Fortnight to kind of that role.
Yeah, Co-operatives Fortnight is is led by Co-operatives UK, which is the trade body for the whole cooperative sector, and it's obviously a great opportunity to talk about the role of cooperatives in our economy. Each year, the Co-ops UK publish a report in and around Co-ops Fortnight, which sets out the contribution to the economy that co-ops make. And I think lots of people think that the co-op sector is maybe quite small, but actually, I think in the recent Co-op Economy report showed that cooperatives in the UK contribute around £35 billion a year to the UK GDP, and so it's a really significant contribution. And across a really wide range of sectors. Now, as we were talking about before, Shane, some of the most visible cooperatives in the country are those big retail cooperatives that you will know from your high streets. But also there are, massive agricultural cooperatives in the UK, but also a new generation of cooperatives, football supporters trusts, which give football fans more of a say in the running of their football clubs. There's a growing movement there of cooperatives there, a growing number of, in particular, rural areas, pubs and post offices and shops being taken over and run by the community using the cooperative model. So, cooperatives exist across a really wide range of things, also including energy, credit unions, all manner of different areas. And so, the co-ops are making a really substantial contribution to the UK economy. And I think one of the interesting things at the moment is clearly post the EU referendum, there's a certain amount of economic uncertainty in the country and potential, concern about how the country will fare in the next few years, given that uncertainty. Well, one of the interesting things about co-ops is that they've demonstrated themselves to be incredibly resilient during difficult times. And so, for example, since the financial crisis of 2008, the cooperative sector has actually grown substantially, more than 20%, when the economy as a whole has only grown maybe by a very, very small amount, 1 or 2%. So that has shown that actually cooperative businesses are resilient in tough times, and I think that's something that, as we go forward in the next few years, shows why cooperatives should continue to be a big and substantial part of our economy, and should be bigger and be able to play an even bigger role, because they've demonstrated themselves to be a very resilient business model. And that's true of employee-owned businesses as well, which are a part of our cooperative family, if you like. Have shown, employee-owned businesses in particular, there's a really strong evidence base there about both resilience but also productivity. And one of the issues that people talk about in terms of one of the challenges facing the British economy is that we do have lower productivity than some of our OECD and G7 competitor economies, if you like. And it's and one of the ways in which you can, there's strong evidence to say that you can drive up productivity is through employee ownership and employee engagement. So I think, you know, the co-op sector's got a massive role to play in the economy. It does play a massive role. There's great potential to do more. And I hope that, you know, and expect that that will be something the party, working with Cooperatives UK, working with cooperative businesses around the country, will be able to continue to champion in the years ahead. And if, you know, any of you are members of the party or considering joining as members of the party, I hope that's something maybe you feel excited about getting involved in.
I suppose you kind of touched on what the next question on the list here was, which is in terms of what are the key priorities, the areas that the party is working on, that kind of people should keep a lookout for, or that might be of interest for people to find out the party.
Yeah. So the party works on a whole range of different issues and campaigns on a whole range of different issues, Shane, as you know. So we, for example, we've been talking a lot recently about the economy, about given the concerns that there are about the fact that the economy hasn't in the last few years delivered fair rewards for everyone, really, that you know, people are working incredibly hard and long hours and in tough jobs, but not necessarily feeling the rewards in their pay packets, for example, but also, as I was talking about just now, the challenges around creating a productive economy. So the Co-op Party's been putting forward ideas for creating a more shared economy, where employees in particular are able to share more in the fruits of their labour, but also have a bigger say in the companies that they work for, but also that there is a bigger role for the cooperative sector as well. And so we've got those kinds of ideas around how we make the economy work better and more fairly. We also have a big agenda around how we should have more of a say as ordinary people. We should have more of a say in the services that affect our lives. So, for example, the Co-op Party has been championing the role of a greater voice for passengers in the public transport network, both in terms of bus provision and trying to make sure that we have bus services that are run in the interest of passengers and in the interest of communities, not just purely for private profit, but also that there should be a bigger say for the workforce and the passengers in the rail network, given the huge public subsidy that goes into our rail network in this country. So some of those ideas. We were also interested in how co-ops and mutuals could play a bigger role in delivering some of our important public services. Things like social care are a good example, where actually lots of the provision is currently being provided by the private sector. Some of it not great quality, and there are concerns about the lengths of visits that elderly people get when they're getting social care provision in their home, but also real and rightly concerns about how the workforce is treated within that sector. And we think as a result of that, there's a real opportunity for cooperatives to play a bigger role in the social care sector, making it a more rewarding environment for the staff, but also delivering a better product for those that need that care through the cooperative model. So, you know, we've got a really wide interest across the range, really, of different policy areas and different campaigns that people can get involved in. Information about those campaigns is on our website, so if you're interested in finding out more, you can have a look at www.party.co.
Great. This was the kind of the next question, which is we come down to the ones we have submitted already, which is how can people get more involved with the party, or how can they get stuck in?
Yeah. Well, the first thing it would be great if you would consider doing, if you haven't already, is to join us, become a member. You can pay as little as £2 a month, or even less if you're a young member under 24. So why not think about joining us? And you can find out more about how to do that on our website. But if you're not quite ready to become a member yet, then you can sign up to our emails, sign up to our campaigns, and we'll keep you in touch with what we're doing, the kind of work we're doing. Another good way to keep in touch with what the party's doing is to follow us on social media. So on Twitter and on Facebook in particular, we have a really active presence, and you can get involved in some of the things that we're interested in and find out more about our work that way. If you are a member, then you will have a local branch of the Co-operative Party in your area that's likely to meet and have discussions, have policy discussions, organise activities. And so you should think about getting along to your local co-op party branch and find out what they're doing and get involved that way. You're also likely to get invited to events that may be happening in your region or close by to where you are. We have a series of events around the country. Sometimes those are policy discussions, sometimes those are weekend political schools where you can get together with other people and spend a whole weekend talking about politics and cooperation. We have events called as part of our Co-operative Action Network, which is about giving people skills to run campaigns and make change in their own community. So come along to an event and get involved that way. I think those are some of the main ways. But Shane, you're a membership officer. Have I forgotten any of the key ways to get involved?
I think you've touched on everything. There's probably two extra just to add in. Is that our party conference comes up in Cardiff on the 9th to the 11th of September, which is open to, you don't have to be a party member to come along to that. If you do join, you get to come along for free, but you can just come along. It gives you a chance to meet other people involved in the party and the wider movement, hear some speeches from some of our Labour and cooperative politicians, and get involved in some of the training and extra kind of activities that we do. Also, there's Claire mentioned that you can join from just £2 per month. But as well, if you join during the next few days, we have a special rate for a Co-ops Fortnight, so you can join the party for just £15 for your first year. So you can, as Claire said, for more information about any of this, you can go to www.party.coop, which is COOP. That's the party's main website. It'll tell you a bit more about everything that we've talked about this evening. For those of you who did join us at the start, my name is Shane, and I'm the party's membership officer. This is Claire McCarthy, the General Secretary of the Co-operative Party. I suppose we're probably coming to the end, unless anyone has any other questions that they want to submit. I suppose, Claire, is there anything else that you think we haven't touched on that people would like to hear?
No, I think we've touched on the main things. As Shane says, if you are watching and you have a question, Shane, why don't you explain one last time how somebody can submit a question if they haven't already worked it out, just in case?
Yeah, if you are watching it on our website, it's slightly a bit tricky. You just need to press, if you are on the event page, you'll see there's a green button sort of above where you're watching us. If you click on that button, that will take you through to the main Google Hangout page, which will allow you to type in your question. And we've had a few in by email as well.
Yeah, so we'll just give you 30 seconds more to type in a question if you're watching, if you want to, and then we can, as Shane says, we've worked through all the questions that were submitted in advance by email, so that's good.
I suppose while we're waiting for people to contribute, you mentioned at the start that we're nearly 100 years old, and so most people probably don't realise we exist. Never mind, we're here for 100. But maybe do you want to set the scene for some of the stuff that we're thinking about doing for the centenary and
yeah, that's a good point, Shane. So as I said, and Shane's just reiterated, we'll be 100 next year, and so we are going to be having a big, using it as a big celebration of the Co-operative Party, and using it as an opportunity really to tell more people about cooperatives, about the role that they play, and about why they're important and why they could play a bigger role in our economy and our society. And we're thinking about doing all sorts of things. So we are going to be crowdsourcing ideas for a banner, I think, Shane. We're going to be having events. We're probably going to update the book that's about the history of the Co-operative Party. We're looking at developing our policy agenda more, and I talked earlier on about how we develop policy. What else have we got in store, Shane?
Yes, so you've touched on some of the big points. I think so. What we want to do is to try and, rather than this being simply about looking back to 100 years and looking at quite some substantial achievements that we've had as a party and movement, we're also looking at how we set the scene for another 100 years of cooperation in politics, and that's, as Claire mentioned, touching on how we refresh and revitalise our policy platforms so that we can make the case, but also looking at events. We don't want to be inward-looking, kind of pat ourselves in the back saying well done for making it this long. We want to try and move out to grow into the rest of the co-op movement, the labour movement, and wider community, to try and bring people in. So we will have events in pretty much every region and nation of the UK, events that are about bringing people in and explaining what the co-op difference is, and why it's so important, why it's so important in 2017 to have a political voice as it was in 1917 when 900 delegates came came together in Westminster Central Hall from 500 cooperative societies and established the Co-operative Party.
And actually, that's a good point. So one of the other things that we'll be looking to do is have a great big centenary Co-operative Party conference in London in the autumn of 2017. So that would be one to look out for, because we'll really use that as an opportunity, as Shane said, to look back on our history and many of the things that we're very proud of, and the influence that the Co-op Party and our elected representatives has had over the last 100 years, which is really substantial. But also to throw forward and think about what do we want to do in the next 100 years. So look out for that, because it would be great to have as many people there as possible. Right, Sean, I don't think we've had any more questions.
No, yeah, I suppose the other thing just to say, if you do want to find out more, the website is party.coop, C-O-O-P. You can send us you can email your question through at any time, because we will be on screen to answer it. Our email address is mail@party.coop. You also can get us on Twitter, which is kind of behind me, which is at Coop Party, which again, if you tweet us your questions, we can pick you up on that. And yeah, please take a look at the website, find out more. And as Claire said, we've got quite a few events coming up over the summer, including our conference, and we'll also be at Labour conference. So if you see, we're quite friendly, so come over and say hello.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for joining us, and to those who've come and gone during the course of the last half an hour or so. And we hope that people have found that useful, and we've answered some questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.